Hi everyone, and welcome to the Chef's Table series. I'm Carol O'Connor, your co-host. So a couple of weeks ago, Joe and I were across the street from Mission Church, which is located on Tremont Street in Boston. And we came upon this neighborhood restaurant, and I was starving, and I'm like, I want something warm, I want something like soup. So we came into this place called Lilly's Gourmet Pasta Express. And I had, and you have to know, I eat out all the time, the best minestrone soup. But today, Chef Joe, my co-host, and Matt Postal, who owns Lilly's Gourmet, will be on the show making his famous dish. This is a dish everyone is always ordering, according to Matt and George, who works along beside him. In front of me is a chicken and shrimp pasta dish with his special Cajun seasoning. But the pasta is not the pasta you would get in a store in a box. It's freshly made. So let's go over to Joe and Matt in the kitchen.
Tonight, we have a special guest that my co-host and myself happen to be in Boston, and we're trying to figure out what are we going to eat. So we decided, let's try Lilly's Gourmet Pasta Express. And it's right across the street from the church Carol and I go to. So we went in and sat down, limited seating, but very comfortable. Decor is beautiful. And we started eating it. The presentation was unbelievable. You just looked at it and I said, my God, you would think you're in a four-star restaurant. And we talked. So today, our special featured chef is the chef owner of Lilly's Gourmet Pasta Express.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Matt, for coming to the show. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, one of the things we also had was we split an order of the ravioli of the day. You do a ravioli each day, is that correct?
Well, we have about 8 to 10 on the menu every day that are staples on the menu, and then daily I get pretty much whatever kind of raviolis Lilly wants to throw in the bag for us.
Right.
That day you happen to have some roasted vegetable and some roasted eggplant raviolis the day that you came in.
Right, and that was the premium, the main course Carol and I had. And again, we just went in to have a little bite mid-afternoon, and the raviolis were fantastic. And I could tell as soon as I started eating the ravioli, but also with the minestrone soup, that
Yes.
this was not your box pasta.
Absolutely
it was a
not.
fresh pasta.
Nothing but.
Right, and that's really what puts this restaurant, in my opinion, on the map. It wasn't just the fresh pasta that he serves, it's also, you could tell, his ingredients are fresh.
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing, what do? Have your produce and your meats delivered?
I have no vendors.
No vendors.
No vendors at all. I actually have to go to the market 7 days a week. You saw by the size of the store, very limited space.
Right.
That includes storage.
Wow.
So it's a good problem to have, but I have to go to the market 7 days a week to supply the store. Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, I got to tell you, you can tell that these products are fresh.
Absolutely. Hand-picked every day.
Right, and now, because I go into where Matt's restaurant is on Tremont Street in Boston, across from the Basilica, that I'll be coming in more often. His food is really exceptional. It has the neighborhood feel, restaurant feel, so it's cozy, and I gotta tell you, the people and phone were just going constantly, so that tells a good story as well.
Absolutely.
That, you know, you have a lot of people, you know, that just love his food. And I'm guessing you do a lot of takeout and catering?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, you see that I only have 8 seats, so seating is very limited.
Right.
A majority of our stuff is, you know, we probably do 60% deliveries, probably 25% takeout, and then the rest is just sit down.
Right.
We have a very fast turnover rate. People tend not to stay very long.
Right,
So even though there's not many seats, we get them in and out quick.
Yeah, and that says something for your cooks. And so today, Chef decided he would make his #1 selling dish. And what is that?
That is the Cajun Chicken and Shrimp. That's the
Wow.
most popular dish we have by far. It's great. It's
Yeah.
simple. It's nothing crazy, but very simple, very fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
The fresh pasta. That's really what sells a dish. you
Right,
know.
right.
All the proteins are fresh. Everything's fresh every day.
Great.
I don't know why it's the most popular dish, but it has become the most popular dish probably within the last 1.5 to 2 years I've been open.
Really?
When we first opened, it was very basic stuff, chicken, broccoli, Alfredos, and stuff like that, which is very simple stuff to make. But
Right.
we have a big demographic of college kids.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, and they tend to like the spicier foods.
Right.
It's just I couldn't tell you why.
Right.
I know it's good, but I
Right.
couldn't tell you why that specific dish is very
Yeah,
most popular.
I
but-
was thinking myself that you have a very large student population in your neighborhood. And by the way, just to give you sort of where he's located as a destination, he's about 1/8 of a mile up from Brigham Circle where Brigham and Women's Hospital is. So there's a lot of Harvard people around
Yes.
there. Harvard Medical School is close by. So you probably get a lot of people from different areas of the country.
Yes.
And so I'm sure that makes a difference. Now, one thing I like to tell, because this show is designed to be instructional, and again, you're going to hear me every week talk about mise en place. French term, everything in its place, having your ingredients all set, ready to go before you start that cooking process.
Yes.
So Chef, can we just show the viewing audience what you have?
Sure, very basic ingredients. Again, this is a very simple dish. These are just some basic white meat chicken. This is chicken breast just kind of chopped up into maybe 1-inch cubes.
Yeah.
We got some fresh shrimp here, obviously
Right. Yeah.
peeled and deveined.
Yeah.
These are 20, 25 shrimps. These are a little smaller than the ones that we use at the restaurant, so you actually get bigger ones than this.
Right.
This is a special blend of Romano cheese that we have blended specifically for us.
Wow.
It comes in every Thursday from a company out of Wisconsin. Then you just basic salt, pepper, Cajun spice,
Yeah.
and just some butter. And what we like to do with our Alfredo sauces is essentially we like to use a combination of heavy and light creams together.
Nice.
So that way, the heavy cream is a lot richer and heavier. The light cream kind of puts a little bit lighter spin on it.
Right.
So it's not so heavy.
Right.
And then just some scallions for some garnish, and that's about it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you use what type of oil to saute your chicken and shrimp?
Just olive oil. It doesn't have to be extra virgin.
Right.
Extra virgin olive oil is personally, I don't like to saute with it. It's too strong. It burns very easy.
Right,
It could be
right.
just a regular vegetable oil.
Right.
It's just essentially only really in there to keep the proteins from sticking to the pan while you're cooking.
Right.
Yes.
And, again, we've talked about this on the show, and just a moment ago, Chef talked about he doesn't like to use the olive oil because it has a very low smoke temperature.
Yes.
Meaning it doesn't take a lot of heat before that olive oil breaks down. I like olive oil and sauteing, but I've worked with it for so long that I really keep my eye on that oil.
Yes.
I like it because I feel it just gives an additional level of flavor.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about what Chef talked about was this is a very easy dish. Not a lot of ingredients, and they're ingredients most of us are used to. So, Chef, the first thing you do, I'm guessing, is saute your chicken,
Yes, we could do that.
and then probably after that, you do the shrimp because of the time it takes
Exactly,
to
yes.
cook the chicken.
Exactly.
Is much longer, and you absolutely want that chicken cooked through. So
100%.
what I'm going to do is step to a little bit to one side
Okay.
and let you get going here.
Sure, absolutely. Once we get all the, the sauce and stuff going, that's when we'll dump the pasta down into the water.
Sure.
It is a homemade pasta, so it only takes about 3 minutes to boil.
Right, and I'm glad Chef just brought that up.
Yes.
There's nothing like a fresh pasta.
Nothing like
if you can find it. all right? There are places you can buy fresh pasta. Actually, they have packaged pastas in every supermarket today. But the cooking time is probably 30% of what it would take to cook a boxed dry pasta.
Exactly.
So keep that in mind, that you don't overcook your pasta. Al dente is your best.
A little under is always better,
Yeah, exactly.
because you could always finish it off in the sauce.
Right, and there was another tip Chef just gave you. When I cook my pasta, I do not finish it in that boiling water. I finish it in the sauce. What happens? The pasta gets coated, which is what you want, because let's face it, pasta for the most part is flour and water.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll get a fettuccine with egg in it, but for the most part, it's pasta and water. So you really want to be able to dress all that pasta, meaning coat it. So finish your sauce, learn that technique, test the bite or how firm that pasta is. Just before it's finished, drain it and then put it right in your sauce.
Yes.
Let that sauce finish cooking your pasta.
And that's one thing that I want to stress specifically to our restaurant is that, you know, I've been in the industry almost 20 years. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with dry pasta, but you cannot cook it per order. It has to be pre-cooked, flash-cooled, and what they do is they have a big, they call it a pasta pot pretty much, which is just a bunch of baskets in it.
Yeah.
Typically where it's pre-cooked, flash-cooled, and then wrapped.
Right.
So that way if you order it, they just simply open it, pop it in the water, warm it up, and that's it. We don't do that.
Right.
Ours is always cooked per order.
Right.
The pasta actually takes less time to cook than the actual sauce does.
Wow.
So while the sauces and everything's going, we got the pasta going in the pasta cooker.
Yeah.
We combine the two items together, you're in and out of the door in about 10 minutes.
Right. Well, you know, for the home cook, if you're having a dinner party, which is part of why we started this show, we want to see people having a family meal again.
Yes.
At least once a week. But let's say you invite your brothers, sisters, parents, whomever, friends. If you use a dry pasta, it's, as Chef says, there's nothing wrong with the dry pasta, okay? Having said that, if you do want to pre-cook it, you could do what Chef just said. You cool it down quickly, you cover it, do not coat it in oil because it could sour the taste of the pasta if it sits with an oil coat. Use a little bit of butter and then you can throw it in a boiling water real quick, all your sauce, just to bring it back. But what I love about this restaurant, it's fresh pasta. There is not, I am a pasta addict. There's nothing like the fresh pasta. So, why don't we get the saute going,
Sure.
Chef?
All right.
Okay.
So right over here?
Yeah, how about this one? Is that
Okay,
all
we'll
right?
fire this up here.
Okay.
Get this going. All right, so the first thing to do that we're gonna do today, we're just gonna get a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan.
Right,
Again, just kinda, it's a little bit, I'd say maybe a tablespoon or so.
right.
All right, and then the next thing to do is once this oil starts to warm, very important to let your oil warm before you put the proteins into the pan. If you put them in too soon, it's gonna stick, it's gonna shred the meat, it's not gonna look nice, it's not gonna brown up, so just make sure that the oil is nice and warm before you get that in there. So, just fired this up, might take a minute to warm up here a little bit. You can always tell when the oil starts to get warm because it moves around the pan
Yeah.
very easily. You can see how it's kind of thick right now. Once the oil starts to get warm, it'll become more
Right.
loose, almost like
Yeah,
a...
if I can just jump in for a second.
Sure.
Chef just gave you more than one great tip. Make sure that oil in that pan is hot before you put your protein in. That does eliminate a lot of the sticking. May not be completely, but 95% of the time, if that pan's hot enough in that oil, you're not going to have a problem with your protein sticking, okay? The other tip that I want you to think about is, how do you know when that pan is hot enough? Chef just told you, when you first pour that oil in that pan, and if that pan is not hot, it's going to move slowly. Okay, now I can see this oil is starting to warm up enough and it's moving very loosely. So in just a moment here, we'll be able to start the protein and get that going.
Yes.
And again, he's doing shrimp and chicken. So think about it. Which one takes longer to cook? And that's part of your cooking process. Thinking through what you're doing so that if you did the shrimp first and then threw the chicken in, or if you threw them in at the same time, that shrimp is going to be tough and rubbery. So you don't want to do that. And it's just, I can't wait to try this dish.
Delicious. Like
Yeah.
I said, a #1 seller. Another little thing I like to do sometimes to make sure that oil's warm, what I do, just take a little bit of flour, just a little tiny bit, and kind of put it in the oil. You'll see it start to bubble a little
Right,
bit. So you can actually see it start to bubble now. So it's getting to the point where it's almost warm enough to start using.
Yeah.
So let me turn this
Yeah,
down just a
that
little
was
bit.
another tip Chef just gave you. He took a little flour, and I do exactly the same thing. If I have breadcrumbs, I'll throw the bread, just a little pinch. And then if you see that bubbling, then you know that you're just about ready. So, are you dredging?
Yep, dredging the chicken breast in some flour, again, to prevent it from sticking. Plus, it gives it a nice little crust on the outside.
Which is great.
We're actually going to season the chicken and the shrimp after it starts to cook a little bit.
Right.
This is just a basic Cajun spice, a blackening spice. Cajun and blackening, it's essentially the same thing. It's, you know, you could use it for grilling, sauteing. The smell that this puts out is just awesome. I love the smell of it. Sometimes, you know, my store's a little small. Sometimes it can kind of take your breath away a little bit when we're cooking with this stuff because it does get airborne a little bit. But let's see here. All right, this is almost ready to go in here. I'm turning it up just a little bit more. I'm not used to cooking with electric, but we'll do the best we can. All right, so you're going to see it's a little bit warm in there. It could be a little bit warmer. Let me turn it up one more notch here. We can always turn it down.
Right.
All right, so there we go. It's starting to sizzle a little bit. So you can go ahead and just put your pieces of chicken right in the pan. Always shake off the excess flour.
Another great tip from the chef.
Yes. What will happen is that the flour will actually burn. And, you know, when you're making a nice Alfredo sauce or something like that, you tend to not want to cook it too hot because you still want it to be in a white color. You know,
Right.
you can discolor the dish very easily.
Right.
Granted, it will taste delicious, but the presentation will be a little bit off simply because the color's not going the right color is not going to be there.
Okay.
So basically, we're going to get this going here. Start sauteing a little bit. All right.
Right.
Typically, we use about, I don't know, probably about 4 ounces of chicken per dish. This might be a little bit less because this would be for a single serving. So basically, start that up right there. Make sure your water's boiling.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Chef.
Yes.
One thing I did notice, and I talked about your crew
Yeah.
a little bit. I noticed the couple of times I've been in there, the first time I actually went in and ate,
Yep.
and then when I stopped back in there to see you to talk about the show, I noticed your crew really, they're moving.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I noticed you'd get a call, okay, do this, that, you
Oh,
do
yeah.
your slip, but
I got the
it's
best,
like-
the best crew ever. The best crew ever.
Yeah.
You know, I actually have cameras in the kitchen. My family lives in Florida, so I have cameras in the kitchen where my parents have the code in Florida, and they actually like to watch the guys cook. They said it's like a dance.
Exactly.
You know, after working, I mean, because my store is very, very small, so you have to learn how to be able to maneuver around each other, or else you're going to be bumping into each other, you know, banging things around, create more work for yourself. So the chicken's going now. It's to the point where you can start to flip it a little bit. It could be a little bit browner, but we can play with that a little bit more after. So now we're going to do the same thing with the shrimp as we did with the chicken. Basically, kind of take it, going to dredge it in some flour real quick, just a couple. We typically put about 4 to 5 shrimp in there. Again, our shrimps are a little bit bigger than these, but
Yeah, that's a great portion.
yes, very generous portions. Very nice price point we have too as well.
Yeah, great.
Again, with all the students, we have to kind of tone it down a little bit. You know, our food is worth more than what we charge, but you know, we have a simple concept where we eliminate the linens, the wait staff, all the other things you essentially pay for in a higher end restaurant.
Let's just, I gotta tell you, this portion, and now the smells are starting to come up, it smells really great.
this isn't bigger just because we're on TV either. This is what you get. You know,
Right.
you come in here, that's what you're gonna get.
Right.
So, once it starts to brown a little bit, now we can start to hit it with a little bit of Cajun spice.
Yeah. And another thing, do not be afraid of a hot saute pan.
Yes.
Because that also eliminates, it does a number of things. It gives you caramelization, which actually adds your flavor. Also, it'll help with particularly your proteins from sticking, not sticking with the hot pan. And when you're trying to bring this symphony, is the only word I can think of, together, the saute is meant to be a quick, fast cook.
Exactly, yes. We do have express in our name, so we have to be in and out very quick.
Right.
So now that this is going, no more olive oil. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a little bit of butter now.
Wow.
Get the butter in the pan. Let that start to melt. Now you wanna kinda coat it as much as you can without beating it up too much, because that flour does give a nice crust. You don't wanna beat that flour up too much.
Right.
Now we hit it with the Cajun spice. This is where the nice aroma is gonna start to come out.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now, Cajun spice, I personally don't really care for spicy food myself, but this is a dish that I do really like because it's not that spicy. Now you can smell the Cajun coming out.
Yeah.
That's the smell that you want to smell right there.
Right, those are the oils starting
Yes.
to come out of that dry powder,
Yes,
which is great.
there you go. Now you can smell. Now it smells a lot better. Hit a little bit more. So now that starts to crust. Now we can start to finish off the rest of the sauce. We don't use any garlic in any of our sauces unless you ask for it or unless the recipe actually calls for it.
So it's a very light sauce then.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Alfredo, you know.
Right.
It could be lighter, but
I'm not saying, I didn't say it's not fattening. I'm just saying it's not over-seasoned
no,
with the garlic.
no. A lot of people, believe it or not, a lot of people don't like garlic.
Yeah, I know that.
So we got that going. You got a nice color in the pan here, starting to brown up the Cajun a little bit. All right, so now we're going to hit it with a little bit of heavy cream.
Oh, my.
Okay?
The aromas, if you were here, believe me, you'd have designate one person to hit the chef and hit me out of the way and be diving into this.
Now what we like to do again is we like to kind of take a little bit of a mixture of heavy and light cream. A lot of restaurants use strictly heavy cream.
Right.
It's very rich, very heavy.
Yeah.
So we tend to try to cut it down a little bit with the light cream. So now that that's in there like that, basically I would say on this dish you'd probably put maybe a quarter cup of each.
Yeah.
We have ladles that we use with specific weights in them, so
Right.
or ounce volumes in them.
Sure.
So everything is,
Yeah.
you know, portion controlled when you come. So every time you come to our store, it's going to be the exact same thing. So now you got your creams in there. Now we're going to add this Romano cheese. I would say probably, I don't know, again, maybe, I don't know, a quarter cup or so.
Wow,
All right, maybe a little bit less.
I love that.
All right.
Yeah.
Now the thing with making Alfredos is you can go two ways. Some people like them very thick. Some people like them very thin.
Right.
The thing with Alfredo is you can play with it. If it's too thin, add a little bit more cheese. If it's too thick, you know, add a little bit more cream. Now you want it to let it reduce a little bit. Now this is the point where you want to put the pasta down.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's turn this down a little bit because the sauce will probably be done before the pasta is.
Right.
Now we're going to take it, we're going to,
And that is really starting to thicken, which is great.
yes.
And it'll make a sauce that'll really cling to that pasta, and this is what you want.
Again, fresh homemade pasta. Right in the water, make sure the water is boiling very hard with fresh pasta. People tend to be a little bit impatient sometimes to where, because this is fresh homemade pasta, if you don't make sure the water is hot enough, it will get very chewy, very gummy, and it will stick to your teeth and it will not be enjoyable at all. So let's make sure that water's boiling. We can turn this down because essentially the sauce is pretty much done now at this point. Because you're going to use a little bit of the water from the pasta to loosen it up a little bit and finish cooking the pasta in here. So, basically that sauce is pretty much done. Let me turn this down to the lowest setting we can here.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to give this pasta about another 2.5 minutes to cook. Again, it only takes about 3 minutes to cook from start to finish, so it is a very
That's
quick
great.
process.
One thing I want to tell you, if you have an interest in professional cooking, I've been to 2 culinary schools and I enjoyed them. But many excellent chefs that we've had on the show did not go to culinary school. If this is your passion, believe me, you will learn how to become a top chef.
Absolutely.
And I know Chef Matt Postal did not go to culinary school. He learned on the job. And
Hard knocks.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you, there's some great key learnings. Each week we have a different chef on. I learn a new technique, a new idea about creating a dish, because this is really, it's a personal taste, it's a creative process, and I would say that's why they call it culinary arts.
Yes.
You know, so
Absolutely.
if you do not have the opportunity to go to a culinary school, because it's expensive,
Very.
you can learn on the job if you find a really good chef to work under. And Chef Matt happens to be a very good chef.
Thank you.
And I'd just really like to take the opportunity. Chef brought one of his line chefs with him. His name is George Perez, and he's here. So I'm just going to call him over to the set right now. If you wouldn't mind, George, come on up. We're going to introduce you. We're not going to embarrass you.
While you're doing that, I'm going to strain the pasta because the pasta is now done being cooked.
Great.
All right?
Okay,
Let
great.
me turn this off. All right.
Yeah.
Excuse me here.
We'll give Chef George a chance to be on the camera. George, thank you for coming.
No problem.
And Chef is one of the people that if you go into Lily's, you'll see him behind there doing a great job. And trust me, he really does. The food that he puts out is excellent. You know, the old chef who owns the place, he's out at the register watching the money. And he needs a solid guy that he can count on. And George Perez is one of them.
Absolutely.
And he worked in R2 in Beacon Hill.
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah, before. So, you know, he came up through the ranks like so many chefs did. So, here's your dish.
Yes.
It's ready.
It is pretty much ready. What you want to do is basically finish the sauce off. Again, you were talking about coating the pasta.
Yeah.
This, I brought a rigatoni today with actually ridges in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes ours do have ridges, sometimes they don't. I brought ridges today specifically because anything with ridges will tend to hold the sauce in a little bit more. Yes.
Which is great.
Basically, yes. So,
Okay, I'm gonna grab your plate.
sure. Ready? We'll get ready to plate this thing
Are we
up.
doing this plate or this?
I like the round one. Let's use the round one.
Okay.
All right, if you want, we'll put it right over here, right in the cutting board. Let's move this around.
Excellent. George, why don't you get in the camera? Smile there, my friend.
I always smile most of the time.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to the restaurant, you're going to see him because we do have an open kitchen, wide open.
Right.
A lot of my customers, a lot of times now, they don't even talk to me anymore. They go right to the kitchen and tell these guys what they want. They know these guys just as much as they know me.
Yeah.
So, we're actually a little bit worried today that I was a little rusty. They were telling me I needed to train before I came today because they like to tease me for not being in the
Yeah.
kitchen much anymore.
I'll tell you, this dish looks absolutely delicious.
Yes, it is awesome. So, that's it. That, again, there's not an exaggerated portion. That's what you're going to get when you come to Lilly. So what we do is garnish with a little bit more Romano cheese on the top.
Oh, I love it.
And then what we can do here, just for a little color, and anything, you know, any scallions go very good with spicy food.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is just give a little bit of, we'll just cut some scallions up here.
Notice his cutting skills. He's not chopping, he's slicing in that forward motion.
Let the knife do the work.
It is a beautiful looking dish.
Cajun chicken and shrimp right
And
there.
it's a fast dish. It went very quickly, and I encourage you to try this. And not an overly expensive dish to make either. This is the top selling dish.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I'll tell you, the aromas are absolutely fantastic. So, George, I'm glad you're in the restaurant teaching chef how to make these dishes.
Yeah, I mean, we just try to do our best, you know. That's our passion. That's what we do.
Right.
That's what we like to do.
Well, you know, I was at church Sunday morning, and I made a lot of friends there. And they have coffee and donuts if you want to take the time. And I always get down because I enjoy talking to the people.
Yeah.
And I said that the restaurant was going to be on the show this week. And I had comments from, there were probably 40, 50 people down there. And people said, oh, oh, I love that. Have you tried his minestrone soup? Have you tried this? And so your reputation is excellent, all right? And we're really grateful to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can count on me coming in. And remember, you can rewatch this show. You can go to the Chef's Table website, and you can rewatch the show. The recipe will be there. So if you're not quite sure on cooking techniques, you could actually watch it online on your laptop or your computer and have the recipe right in front of you and just go through the process. So we really appreciate you coming, Matt.
I appreciate it too. Thank you
really
very much.
great.
Always
Yeah.
a pleasure.
This show is produced by the Chef's Table Foundation. And Carol and I formed this foundation to do a number of things. The first thing we have to do is raise money to produce the show through the nonprofit foundation, which we've been fortunate enough that we have a great crew ourselves, and we always wind up with excellent chefs. The second thing we're going to do is we're trying to decide, as we raise money, who are we going to help? We're first talking about homeless, families in need, which is all great. But one of the people on our advisory committee, he happened to be in a store talking to this beautiful, he said, young girl, young woman. And he's talking to her about, you know, is this what you've done? Do you go to school? She said, no, I want to go to school, but I don't have the money. So he said, well, is there anybody that's a mentor or that can help you? And she said, my father. So he said, well, what does your father do? And she said, my father passed away 3 months ago. Well, to make a long story short, she's homeless. She has a huge desire to continue her education. So we've decided the first focus that we are going to as we start bringing in money is identify people that are homeless, of college age, and that are interested in culinary arts. So our mission statement says service before self, and that's who Carol and I are. And we're hoping this show will help launch people to be able to go out into the workforce eventually with a skill and never have to worry about where they're going to put their head at night, and they can pay their bills and be productive members of society. So that's who the Chef's Table is. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching the show. And I've got to tell you, having great chefs here on a Wednesday night, away from their restaurants, we really appreciate their support as well. And just remember, this show is all about you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
George, great job. Thanks, buddy.
Hi, I'm Rob Costa with Massachusetts Beverage Alliance. This is this week's beer pairing. I chose Newburyport Brewing Company's Pale Ale. It's their flagship beer. It's brewed right in Newburyport, Massachusetts. It's local, and more importantly, it goes phenomenally well with great spicy dishes. It's not so overly hopped like an IPA that it's going to really overtake some of those nuanced flavors that you get in some dishes. What I like about this is, you know, it is brewed right here in Massachusetts, so it does have this great, you know, hop presence that you don't see if something's like, you know, just thrown out in the middle of the Midwest out this way. So what you're going to get is that great lemony sort of piney citrus note that works so well with spicy dishes. Because what hops do, and a lot of people don't realize, and that's why some people are very afraid to pair hoppy beers with spicy dishes, is because they think that the bitterness is actually going to overpower the dish. Well, it's not the fact with hops at all. What it does is it brings out the spiciness. So what you're going to find is that the hops really cradle those spices and bring them right out. Again, with this beer, it's not overly hopped like an IPA. It's just an American pale. So you're going to get this great sort of caramel, toasted biscuit notes coming out of it. I mean, it pours hazy and great because it's not filtered, because we do not filter our beer in the craft world. You know, it has a wonderful head. You take a whiff. It's pine, it's citrus. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful beer. Easily one of my favorites. And when you pair it with a dish like this, it doesn't overpower the seafood. Seafood can be light. You don't want a light. You want something that's not going to really destroy the seafood aspect of it. With chicken, again, light flavors. You don't want a very, very strong beer. So again, it accentuates the hops accentuate the spice. Works out perfectly for everybody. So I'm Rob Costa with Mass Beverage Alliance. This is your beer pairing of the week. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Bill Caruso from Blanchard Wine and Spirits, here to present a wine to match with a Cajun chicken dish and homemade cuisine. Now, Cajun, as you will witness, means spicy. And in the restaurant world, spicy requires off-dry, somewhere between completely dry to maybe medium sweet. So for us in the world of wine, the easiest way to answer this challenge is to go to Riesling, which comes to us from, amongst other destinations, Alsace, France, Germany, and the West Coast. Here, we're offering a West Coast Riesling from Washington State, Charles K. Smith's Kung Fu Girl, vintage 2011. This particular wine has been a Best Buy recommendation for the past 3 years in a row, and just got 90 points again from Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. One of the ways that you can tell that this is going to be slightly sweet is by looking at the alcohol by volume, which is 11%. Normal for red wines nowadays is 14, give or take, %. So what is it that the restauranting world loves about Rieslings with spicy food? Well, here you have a little fruit that is typically described as being lychee, so suitable for those Asian-style cuisines that are spicy as well. You have medium body, you have good balance of acidity, and you have, well, in French, they call it essence de pétrole, a little raciness, almost of gasoline, so nice aromatics. Good medium body, great acidity, so that it supports the food that we're having this evening and compliments to the chef. Delicious. From Bill Caruso at Blanchard's Wine and Spirits, cheers.
Hi folks, Steve LaCount coming at you from Chiara Bistro in Westwood with this week's Chef's Tip of the Week. This is the time of year you'll start to see some of your neighbors may even have fig trees, and you'll see these beautiful black mission figs coming into season now. So we have an appetizer that's selling like gangbusters at the bistro, and I just wanted to share that with you. This can be done so quickly and easily. If you have company coming over that night and you're looking for that kind of light little snack, it can be either an appetizer, a snack, or a dessert. And what we do with these black mission figs, we take 3 of them and kind of cut the top and bottom. Cut the bottom so they're going to sit flat. And then that top has, where it comes off the stem, has a little hard part there that you want to discard. So we'll cut those and remove those. And basically just cut an X into that fig about 2/3 of the way down the body of the fig. And what we do, we call these, at the restaurant, we call these 3 little figs. Each one is stuffed with a different cheese. So you get 3 figs with 3 different cheeses. So I'm going to open those up like a flower. And the first one I'm going to stuff in, actually just going to use my hands because I have gloves on.
We're going to stuff in some Roquefort cheese. And just kind of close it back up a little bit as tightly as you can, with most of the cheese up top. I'm going to put these onto a pie plate. And the second one, I'm going to use this nice Vermont goat cheese from the nice local source, and this is a delicious goat cheese. So one, you're going to get kind of a salty blue cheese, a tangy goat cheese, and the last one I'm just going to take a nice fresh ricotta cheese, which you can buy in the North End or pretty much anywhere now, and we're going to add a little bit of honey to this. Not too much, just enough to sweeten it a little bit. And then just kind of fold that right into the ricotta. And we're going to spoon a little bit of that ricotta right inside this fig as well. And we're just going to bake those in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes. You just want to warm the fig, warm the cheese. And then as far as plating, we found these nice long tiles at a local home supply store. And when we plate those, we just put one of each fig. We usually put the blue cheese in the middle because the other two are kind of a bright white. And then just garnish it with a little bit of, this is a reduced fig puree with balsamic syrup. And we just kind of garnish a little bit of that on there. Dress a little bit of greens with the same dressing. And this is watercress and frisee. We just kind of put a little pile of salad there. And the last thing I'm going to put on this, we have one of our customers just gave us some beautiful lavender from their garden. And the color is really stunning, so we just kind of want to add that on there as a garnish. And there it is, your 3 little figs.
Hi, my name is Alex Tillotson. I'm the culinary demo specialist at Whole Foods Market in Dedham, and I'm here to share with you our healthy, quick tip of the week. A great grab-and-go item that you can make the night before at home or in the morning before you go to work or to school is a fruit and yogurt parfait. It's standard, but it's really simple, and you can really mix and match different fruits and granolas that you enjoy. So you just start with whatever type of yogurt you like, some fresh fruit. I used raspberries in this one today, and then some granola. It gives you that nice crunch and that extra fiber, and just layer those ingredients into a mason jar. That way you can seal it up, put the lid on, and just take it with your spoon and run out the door. That's our healthy, quick tip of the week.
Hi everyone, this is Carol with this week's restaurant interview. Today we are at Lilly's Gourmet Pasta Express, located at 1528 Tremont Street in Mission Hill, right across the street from Mission Church. And today I have owner Matthew Postal, who's going to tell us more about the cuisine here as well as the history. So Matt, tell me more about this restaurant. How do you come up with Lilly's Gourmet Pasta Express?
Lily's Gourmet Pasta Express started as a small franchise in Everett. Typically don't like the word franchise, but it essentially means you're buying somebody's idea. The woman, Lilly, who produces the pasta, who still to this day has a factory in Everett, we produce probably about anywhere 15 to 20,000 pounds of fresh pasta a week. Her son, Antonio, essentially took the product and kind of decided to try to make these little pasta bars with it, where you utilize all of the different types of fresh pasta, then you make all of the fresh sauces, then you add all of the toppings, to where you basically have a pizza shop but with pasta, where you essentially come in and build your own ideas. I was working for a restaurant that used Lilly's pasta. Essentially I kind of capped out there, needed to kind of make a move, and asked the factory if they were hiring, and they kind of told me about this little franchise opportunity, which I immediately fell in love with, and the rest is history. That's almost 4 years ago to this, May will be 4 years we've been open, so.
What brought you to this area, 1528 Tremont Street? Because it's right across the street from Mission Church, and I was wondering, and it's also a big place where students live.
Yes. Originally, I was trying to go to Chestnut Hill.
Oh.
I got into a bidding war with another big pizza chain. At the time, I was small potatoes, so I didn't stand a chance. And there was, unfortunately, the father who owned the property passed away. There was a big problem with the family regarding the property. So in that time, my attorney found this spot in Mission Hill. I was skeptical,
Yeah.
did some research. Now that I'm here, I'm very happy I came here. I'm much rather be here than Chestnut Hill.
Yes.
It is all mostly students. I'd say a good 70% of this neighborhood is probably students.
Wow.
And young professionals that work at the Longwood Medical area. So it's always a fresh new group of people coming in. It's not so many residences, it's just, you know, people that own their houses. It's more kids that rent. So every 6 months there's a whole new group.
Changeover.
Thousands of new kids come in, thousands of kids leave, and
Right.
they tell everybody about us. And so it's like twice a year it's fresh,
Yes.
you know.
Now, is that the way do you think people know about you? Is through word of mouth?
That's the only way. I've never advertised.
Wow.
Yeah, never advertised. And that's the best kind of advertising you can do, you know.
So tell me about the food. I have eaten here a number of times,
Yeah.
and my favorite's a minestrone soup. But you
Yes.
have other pasta dishes as well as other Italian dishes as well.
Absolutely. We essentially try to make anything and everything that somebody would want. If it's not on the menu, one of the things I always tell people, if you want it, you don't see it, ask for it. If we have it, we make it. Nothing here is pre-made. The pasta's not pre-cooked. The sauces are not pre-made. The salads are not pre-made. We bake our own breads throughout the day, so it's not like we make a batch in the morning and they sit there all day. We're consistently making fresh ones throughout the day, 15, 20 loaves at a time. You never know what you'll see here. We have
Yeah.
rice balls every single day.
Yeah.
I do have customers that come in here, some of them on a daily basis, so
Yeah.
even my specials aren't special because they're here too much to be specials, you know? So,
Yeah, you have a number of specials up on the board.
yes, we
Yeah.
have, right behind you guys is, we have probably about 7 or 8 of them a day. I don't put those online because essentially when they run out,
Yeah.
they run out. And
Exactly.
we just kind of refresh them in the morning.
So tell me about the design in here. I like it's like rustic with the brick.
Yes, well, when I found this place, it used to be a flower shop. It was a shell when I came
no
in here.
way.
Yeah, I had to go through the whole zoning process to change it. Yeah, nightmare. Never do that again. But as far as the design on the inside of this place, we're in 497 square feet. And we've utilized literally every single square inch of this place. Actually, today, I have to have a little wall taken down to utilize a little bit more room
Right.
in here. We've maxed the place out. Not so much the kitchen. The kitchen can handle it, no problem. It's the preparation area. It's just
Right.
very tight in here.
Right.
You know, I got a skeleton crew today, but typically there's 2 more people working here on Sunday, so there's 5 of us in here all day.
Now, would you like to open up another one?
Absolutely,
Yes.
100%.
Same concept or something different?
Same concept. I would like to infuse a couple other ideas that I have in my head.
Yeah.
Some other kind of cool restaurants I think would work with this. I'm essentially going to keep the same idea, but incorporate other kind of foods into it too, not just strictly pastas and Italian. I would like to focus less on delivery and maybe more of a sit down, but not more than 25 seats.
Yeah.
Bigger is not always better.
Right, exactly.
I'd rather have 10 little ones than 1 giant one.
Right.
You know.
Matt, what are the hours you're open and when is like the busiest time that you find?
We open during the week, Monday through Friday. We open at 11. Saturday, Sunday, we open at 12. Every day we close at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
So we're open 7 days a week. Lunches get hit pretty hard here. You know, during the week, we got a lot of, like I said, the young professionals from the Longwood Medical area, a lot of other students around here. So lunchtime, we get hit really hard, really fast. One thing I can't stress enough is people don't be deterred if you see a line out the door, because I really respect people's lunch times. I know you only got a half hour. I want you in and out,
Right.
you know.
But you also want the food to be fresh.
Well, everything's made per order.
Exactly.
You know, so that's why for what we do, we get it out really, really quick. From start to finish, from scratch, made individually, fresh per order, we get it out really quick. You never hear more than 10 minutes. Lunches get hit very hard. Weekend here, so it depends if it's a long sporting events. I mean, because the kids, they like to get all banged up the night before. You'll see today is Sunday. Typically lunches start at noon. Today, 1, 2, 2:30, that's when the kids will start to roll in. You know, it's a Sunday, they get to sleep in.
Yeah, they sleep in.
Dinner times, again, it depends on time of the year. Summertime dinner rush starts 6:30, 7 o'clock. Wintertime starts 5:30, 6 o'clock. We usually stay pretty steady throughout the night. It's very like this. I mean, there's really no way to really predict how business is going to be unless you use those other factors, vacations, weather, sporting events, stuff like that. But I mean, typically there's really no way to determine. We'll come in here expecting a slow day and we'll get killed.
Right.
We'll come in here anticipating a really busy day and we're sitting here around here twiddling our thumbs cleaning all day, you know? So you never know. It's definitely a gamble.
Yeah. So you find that business it's busy and
Oh yeah.
it's doing very well this last 4 years.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about it. I went out to dinner with a bunch of restaurant owners last night, and we were all discussing it. And I have grown a steady 20 to 30% consistently every year for the last 3.5, almost 4 years now. Yeah. So,
That's great.
yeah, it's no complaints.
So tell me again where people can find you at the address here.
1528 Tremont Street, not the theater district. Whenever you hear Tremont Street, you automatically
Right,
think
think
downtown.
downtown.
This is Mission Hill. This is, it's kind of weird. It's Boston, zip code, considered Roxbury Crossing, but it's also Mission Hill as a neighborhood.
Right.
The easiest way I can tell people to get here is smack dab in the middle between the orange line of Roxbury Crossing and the green line of Brigham Circle. I'm literally
Middle.
at the
Yeah.
very top of the hill. Another landmark is obviously the Basilica Church across the street.
Beautiful church.
Typically people know where that is. You know, that's where Kennedy's funeral was. That's how everybody knows that location,
Exactly.
essentially.
There's a lot of history. too.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that. I wish I was, but I wasn't here for it. That was just before I came
Oh, yeah,
in.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're moving.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I noticed you'd get a call. Okay,
Serving,
do this.
So basically, start that up right there. Make sure your water's boiling. Let's see here. All right, this is almost ready to go in here. Now we hit it with the Cajun spice. This is where the nice aroma is going to start. You don't use any garlic in any of our sauces unless you ask for it or unless the recipe actually calls for it. Yes.
This is good.
There you go. Now you can smell. Now it smells a lot better. Hit a little bit more. So now that starts to crust. Now we can start to finish off the rest of the sauce.
It's not chopping, it's slicing in that forward motion.
Let the knife do the work.
It is a beautiful looking dish.